So, all right, so I'm here today with Vanessa Swenson of Wildland Co-op. And actually, you were the first guest on the What's Up Spokane show, newly named. So I'm very excited to have you here. And you are one of the owners and founders of Wildland Co-op, one of our favorite places in the world. And you guys make beer, or you brew beer, you make wine, you guys are farmers, you have a Christmas tree farm, your artists. What else am I missing?
Yes. Yeah. No, you did a better summary than yeah, you got the spiel down. I sometimes lose track of those things, but yeah, it was kind of a grand gesture to find a way to kind of connect a lot of dots in my life and my husband's life, and then hopefully future worker owners at Wildland too.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I guess to start off, maybe just give us a little intro, who you are, what you do at Wildland, and give us more info on that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like I said, there are many dots and kind of threads running throughout my life growing up here in the Spokane area. But yeah, I guess my initial kind of day job or work is in graphic design and art.
Hmm.
So that is kind of the industry I started out in. On the side there, my husband, Michael Townsend, he and his family had a very, well, still do a very iconic local winery called Townsend Cellar, which is wonderful wine. So with that, we had the opportunity. We kind of found ourselves. Our first roots started on Green Bluff. Grew up here, never thought we'd be back, and then yeah, now it's kind of the land we've really grown to love, and it's become more or less our life's work right now. So yeah, we found ourselves on Green Bluff, managing a winery, sort of on the side. With that came a Christmas tree farm that we had no experience of the Christmas tree industry until we ended up with acres full of trees. So kind of stumbled into that. And from there, I sort of kept finding every way I could to um, bring my art practice into sort of our other business adventures and draw plants and flowers on everything I could. And so, yeah, with all these different kind of facets of our lives, the wine, the Green Bluff land up here, art, the concept of wildland kind of just came about. I guess it'd be about 2 years ago now. Yeah, because we never had really fully dived into connecting that experience of coming to the land, and whether it be through a glass of wine or beer or an experience out on the farm, kind of connecting that into one full experience.
Yeah.
So that was, yeah, that's kind of what we strove to do with Wildland, and with that brought all these facets under one roof. So as you outlined there, yeah, we are brewing beer. That's our most kind of recent endeavor. We still are making wine in partnership with Townsend Cellar, but all on
Okay.
a very small batch scale that's only here on the bluff.
Yeah.
And then a little local art market, which is the part I really enjoy helping to facilitate. And then, yeah, our huge dream then to, and what we hope to grow into over the years is the farming. So
Mm.
really starting to grow more crops. We're doing some small market vegetables and flowers right now and the Christmas trees, but really hoping to continue growing more food and bring that element into wildland in the future. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. How was that
Yeah.
transition, going from, a more well-known winery who has a name in Spokane and then just starting your own thing?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. And it's definitely taken time. I've been in it's like it felt like a very natural evolution for our family and kind of the Townsend family up here. But yeah, it's taken time as yeah, change always takes time and everyone kind of receives it differently. But yeah, what we really wanted to stress about kind of the change was that we're really trying to honor the roots of what the groundwork that had already been laid for us with the winery and the customers of the winery and the community of the winery that was here but we just knew from our time managing Townsend up here on Green Bluff that there was just so much room to grow beyond that, and start welcoming more to that community that isn't just limited to that wine basis. But yeah, so from there, that's why we really wanted to continue making wine. So we still
Hmm.
work with my brother-in-law over at Townsend, and we take the barrels that don't have a home in those larger blends and are
Yeah.
able to, really have fun with it and make these small batch blends at Wildland. And with that, hopefully still, yeah, welcome people back for that wine experience. But once they step in, they can, and seen this a lot, they realize, oh, this is wine, but now so much more, and just kind of leaning into other pillars of the land up here on the bluff.
Right.
So yeah,
I'm
it's been a good evolution.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
curious because you kind of took a lot on maybe all at once, or maybe it doesn't feel like that, but some people might just say, we're just going to serve beer and wine, and you're taking it a step further, having all of these artisan goods and having a little market and also using it as a gathering place. What's making you want to just have all of that stuff going on? I love it.
Yeah, no, it really is. Yeah, when we first were embarking on it, it was very like, oh, we're just kind of throwing everything at the wall. I mean, we had a lot of that background knowledge after managing Townsend up there for so long. We had a lot of kind of already some basis laid or understanding of how to operate that business. But yeah, from there, year one was really just like, let's do everything we can and just throw it at the wall. We had a little bit of a larger team and
Mm.
just kind of see what sticks and what things we're really excited about growing, what things didn't work and need to be scaled back or wait for future years. And so, yeah, I feel like we did a very rapid learning process year one.
Hmm.
Yeah, very efficient way to be, just by doing so much at once. We were able to learn a lot. So then, yeah, with year two now that we're in, or towards the end of here, with that, we did have to make the decision of like, all right, farming is our big long-term goal, but we're going to scale that back as we work on getting this new facility we opened this year for the gathering place
Yeah.
and getting more beers on tap and getting that part flowing. And then hopefully in year three, this next year coming up, we're really hoping to now start leaning back into the farming. But
Mm.
yeah, with so many things at once, I think we've learned we can keep them all, but it's just a lot about that growing slow and intentionally, and just with each year kind of renewing the focus on certain areas and just evaluating what's working and just knowing the pace, even though we can see it all,
Yep.
it just will take time to get there. And yeah, but we just couldn't help ourselves. It's such an incredible piece of piece of land and kind of places of gathering we already had here, and we just couldn't help but want to fill it with with
Yep.
everything. Good.
Absolutely. I think your graphic design background has probably helped a lot because just from your branding and the style of Wildland as a whole, it just seems like it was made for Green Bluff. Like, do you think that that's helped you out in creating this new brand?
Um, yeah, I mean, it probably just a little happenstance that well, or maybe some subliminally, I've been picking this up growing up in the Northwest my whole life. It kind of ended up matching, but yeah, in my artistic pursuits, and just this general living, I've always been loved to be outside, very inspired by all our Northwest natural areas and spaces. So the fact that a lot of my days get to be spent outside on the farm up here on Green Bluff, and then
Mm-hmm.
making art for the people that visit here, really just kind of um, very cool how it kind of lined up. But I don't think I saw that coming.
Right.
Just kind of a wonderful alignment that just worked out.
Nice. Okay, so I was reading this article and it was really interesting to me your mission and vision for the co-op and ownership. and sharing ownership. How did you guys come up
Yeah.
with that? And can you tell me a little bit more about how you guys are doing that with your employees and working them up towards ownership?
Yeah. No, that's probably the part of all of this that has been the biggest and continues to be the biggest learning curve. We knew we've been inspired by other local businesses in our area and friends of ours, such as the Grain Shed and Leaf
Mm.
Cooperative, which are both structured as worker-owned cooperatives as well. So we had that initial inspiration, and really we knew it would be a more difficult way, or just that initial learning process. You have to unlearn a lot of sort of conventional capitalist business ownership structures, but
Hmm.
we ultimately just really wanted this to be something that could go beyond us. We'd beyond just ourselves personally, because after growing up in family businesses and those kind of solo entrepreneurial settings, it's just that's a lot of weight to be on one person. And with Wildland and
Hmm.
all the facets of it and all the things we wanted to come to the table, we just really wanted that to be a shared experience and something that employees and everyone who works on this vision can share ownership in. So, yeah, very idealistic, but there definitely are ways that and practices in place that can make this possible. So, yeah, and with that, right now we are a workaround co-op. There's a few different classes you can do and add
Mm.
on later, but right now we're worker owned, so that means
Okay.
anyone who's an employee here, we have it structured where they eventually can become an owner, and that it can ownership can be reflected in a lot of ways. If there's profits at the end of the year, everyone can share in dividends based on hours worked, and just everyone still has their role, as in the conventional business, their role within the co-op and their job description. But at the end of the day, it just for end of the year, it comes down to that's reflected. Your share in the business is reflected in dividends, and if it's successful, you're successful and can kind of feel that true ownership. And then it's really just that community kind of lift too, where it's not just the success or failure of something isn't falling on one person. It's it's a shared experience. So yeah, it co-ops are definitely something we are still very our governance and the ins and outs of it, we're still very much hands-on learning as we've gone
Yeah.
through it the last 2 years, and to keep evolving that, because it is really unique, but I think such a beneficial business structure for everyone to learn a bit more about and be involved in.
So at this point, do you just have, is it three owners or what does that look like right now?
Yeah, right now, yep, it's three owners. We're a very small team. We we also had our first year when we kind of started with a larger team. We had a lot of kind of reckonings at the end of it of just trying to figure out um, back to the that growing slow and intentional with the size of the business and being
Hmm.
a seasonal business up there in Green Bluff. We had some
Yeah.
challenges just figuring out that how to handle that seasonality and also forming such like that vital team that the business needs. But yeah, so right now it's three owners. We've also got two others that are on track to ownership, or just we're on a more part-time schedule this year, but on track to ownership. And then in this next year, yeah, that number could go up to five. um, but we'll also be planning to be hiring more this spring with some growing. So yeah, I think this year was a little leaner, but with that now, I think we're going to have a lot of opportunity for growing that number in the coming year.
Right. Do you think that helps
Yeah.
bring the right people into your team, that the people are interested in possibly becoming owners and they know that, that could be a possibility, so they're more long-term minded? Have you noticed that, or is it still kind of early to tell?
Yeah, I mean, it's still, I think, a little early to tell, but it is, yes, I would definitely say that it brings people in. I think it's just such a new way of thinking that, you know, so many people, yeah, they want to own, be an ownership, like to have ownership of something sounds wonderful. In practice, I think it definitely
Yeah.
takes learning of what everyone's expectations of what ownership actually means
Hmm.
is compared to working for someone. Then that's a learning process on both ends of the spectrum. So yeah, I think it's something that initially attracts people, and then there is also that you're like, oh, that also means you're kind of working in a new way.
Yeah.
That's a new way you have to adjust to and a new perspective. But ultimately, yes, I think eventually with that time that it can really start to sink in with people of that it's yeah the success of this thing is a result of you, and therefore you have a stake in that, and it's not just showing up to work and leaving at the end of the day with no kind of tangible connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it's kind of a shock because you have more responsibility than you might otherwise have at a typical job. So my family, when we go to Wildland, which is our favorite place to go, it's like a place to hit pause. So we get to go. You guys are always smiling. It's such a warm welcome. We get to have a good drink and go sit and let the kids run around and get nervous that they're going to get eaten by the lawnmower, by the robot lawnmower. And so like we love that. And when you guys are there on a full day, you have all these people. Like what is that what you envisioned? Like what was your hope for the community and for people coming in the doors?
Yeah, no, that it's such a fun thing to think about because you kind of have this vision in your head, but until you actually see it, you're like, oh, this is how cool it could be, And once you see just those full tables, and I've been loving, and that was actually kind of a surprise, just how many younger families we've seen in the last 2 years too, and that
Mm.
kind of back to that growing from just that wine experience industry.
Mm.
We've loved seeing like just this whole new sector of people and that yeah, I have a whole table like our big community table is full of board games that they're playing with their kids, and um yeah, I love hearing Yahtzee dice being rolled in there, which is
Yeah.
something I could have never imagined. But yeah, I think we definitely, yeah, we strive to want it to be a community space. And yeah, now actually seeing how people use it and in ways that you couldn't have even thought of until you just open this space to everyone. Um, it's been both, yeah, what we set out to do, but then now surprising us in even more unexpected ways of just, yeah, what it means to come together as a community. And yeah, with that, we've started hosting a lot more events this year, which
Right.
um, up on Green Bluff, we've got kind of this, there's another little wedding industry going on up here. So we host
Yeah.
celebrations related to weddings, but we've also had so many fun events this year that either we've helped host or have just been the venue for. But, we had a Mend It Cafe with Spokane Zero Waste, which then the whole space was full of sewing machines, mending clothes for people for free, which was one of those moments of like, this is the coolest thing I could have
Yeah.
ever imagined. We had an ice skating banquet the other night for ages 4 to 70 that are all part of a local ice skating club. And then,
Hmm.
yeah, just a lot of these really unique community experiences. And it's been really cool to just watch um, how creatively people can, yeah, come together if given the space to do so in a safe
Right.
and
It
like
reminds me of
welcome.
Starbucks a little bit because when they started out, they wanted to be the third space or the third place. So you have home, work, and then you need like a third space. And I think it used to be
Yeah,
coffee shops, and now there's different places where people are wanting to go spend time. And that's kind of what it feels like for us. We're just like, okay, we're at home, like we could go out in the yard or we could go see our friends up on Green Bluff. And, I'd rather do that. And so I love that people are playing games. And I went up there to work one day, which I don't know. hopefully it doesn't become like the coffee shop where everyone's just sitting on a computer and you can't do anything or make any noise. So I don't know, but it's a good place to spend time. Uh, so because you grew up with Green Bluff and all of that stuff, there's almost a balance where you want more and more of these places to go gather and more spaces on Green Bluff and commerce, but you also want to keep Green Bluff Green Bluff. And so, how do you see that balance happening, or what's that look like?
Yeah, no, gosh, you're asking all the all the tricky, like the dance of Green Bluff in our daily lives up here, all the kind of
Yeah.
conundrums always having. So, yeah, it is a very interesting place, and you do walk that line of, we live up here on Green Bluff, and part of the reasons it's magical is it's open space, and but we're also a business on Green Bluff, so you're
Yeah.
walking that line is very interesting. Um, because yeah, and we did all the hard work to, Wildland is a fully permitted structure and commercial business on Green Bluff, which is pretty unique because it's very expensive and a lot of work because there's all these permitting requirements in this area to help keep it that rural agricultural area. So
Yeah.
yeah, with everything we're doing at Wildland, we're really trying to, all these structures were already that are on the property have been here, and we're trying to maximize what is already here structure wise and not be building
Hmm.
anything new. And then with that, really trying to just lean into what the land can do here, and thinking back to historical Green Bluff, which it really was an agricultural hub for um, the greater Spokane area for a long time. And it's become a little bit more associated with agritourism and
Yeah.
festivals in the more recent years, which are great. But we really, with the land up here, want it to be more of that, are focused with Wildland to give people that experience of like, this is what it's like to be on a place that grows your food and just a wild open space that you can just be comfortable in and
Hmm.
maintain that element of it that's both educational from experiencing a local food system and getting back to that core of what Green Bluff began with, and
Yeah.
then having that space to have an experience in, but without compromising the land. So it yeah, it definitely is an interesting dance, and we're doing it every day in the decisions we make at Wildland.
Yeah. Interesting. You
Yeah.
talk about rewilding. I'm not too familiar with what rewilding is. Can you go into more detail on that?
Yeah, yeah. So that is definitely, yeah, when I talk kind of it's not definitely not 5-year plans or 10-year plans. This is kind of like our 30-year vision, 40, like beyond our lifetime vision with wildland and the land up here. Rewilding is essentially kind of restoring land back to what it initially was, and bringing those native species and plants and trees and giving them the opportunity to restore themselves and to rewild. So yeah, we've set aside just like about 7 acres of our farm that's fenced and specific to that, growing food and market veggies and flowers. But past that, then we have almost 50 acres that's either Christmas trees or just open land. And
Hmm.
with some of the Christmas tree areas that we're not replanting for harvest, it's pretty cool because it's kind of a jump start to the forests that used to be here. So we're certain areas we have designated to just let grow up back into forest. And then certain areas we'd really love, as wildland grows and um, we can give more funds to this. We'd really like a certain area of the land to be just dedicated to those conservation practices of rewilding. I think Green Bluff initially used to just be pretty much a ponderosa pine forest up here when before it
Wow.
got cleared for agriculture. And yeah, so yeah, at least it's from much of what we can tell in our readings and just what you witness up here. So certain areas we'd really just love to let grow back into what they were. There's ponderosa seedlings popping up all over that we just flag and
Yeah.
mow around and make sure can stay. And just once again to give and for that land to be an experience for the public when they come here to visit Wildland to really go back to what the name is of being in wildlands. Um, at the same time, they're yeah finding those ways that that could go hand in hand with where you get your food and a whole system that can work together for both people and the land. So
Yeah. That's
yeah,
amazing.
I hope
Yeah.
I feel like
I,
my question answering isn't too
no,
round
you're
the.
great. These are hard questions.
I know
Yeah, 'cause
they're
I don't
super good
know
questions.
I don't know
I
what
haven't.
you would do up there because there's so many opportunities for fun businesses and places to go. But the beauty of
Mhm.
it is getting to see all of the open space and not having the businesses there. So I'm sure that's pretty tricky.
Yeah,
Uh, and
yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. But it looks like so we're coming into Christmas tree season.
Yes.
What does that look like? My wife, her aunt and uncle have a Christmas tree farm, and I've only just seen bits
Oh,
and pieces, and it's really fun, but like what it goes into growing Christmas trees and then selling them, and I don't know, it's kind of interesting to me.
oh yeah. No, it's very interesting to us too, and something we had to learn pretty quickly when we first started managing the land up here. But yeah, the land we're on was one of the first Christmas tree farms to really, or first farmers that really established a Christmas tree farm on Green Bluff. So when it was once fully planted, it was almost 50 acres of Christmas trees and
Wow.
like thousands of trees. And in in recent years, it's been really interesting transitioning from having when we first started, we had such a surplus of trees where we were, price we were practically, we were trying to find people to come up and get the
Yeah.
trees. And then over the years, it's done this cross of, we have been replanting, but of course not at the scale that it initially was.
Hmm.
And demand for this Christmas tree experience has gone up. And meanwhile, tree supply goes down, and it takes 10 years on average, for a Christmas tree to be about the height people want to cut, or about
Wow.
6 feet. So it's not yeah, you would have to go back in time if you wanted to keep matching demand. So, and just be sustainably replanting and harvesting the crop. So that has also been such a learning curve for us. But yeah, we are still replanting areas of the farm, but definitely less. There's a lot of challenges with Christmas trees. I feel, especially in the last few years, we've had a lot hotter summers. So
Okay.
getting little seedlings to establish has been a lot more difficult, which has us kind
Mm.
of reconsidering different ways we want to go about it. Also, water is very precious, so irrigating Christmas trees, which are important, but they're not a food crop, just has this
Yeah.
you didn't used to have to irrigate Christmas trees, but with our really hot, dry summers, you sometimes are required to do that with the really little trees. So it
Right.
just has us kind of trying to think a little more creatively about how to do it in the future, and transitioning away from the full farm being Christmas trees and finding
Mm.
some of those more creative ways to use it, whether that's growing food or actually kind of letting that natural habitat reestablish, and exploring some other techniques such as agroforestry, which is kind of farming actually within these forest or treed settings. Um, so yeah, and another facet of that we really would like to explore that we've been talking about for a long time, sometime we'll do it, but is living trees. So actually doing like more kind of nursery style
Oh,
where
cool.
you can actually buy a tree in a pot. The tricky part with those is they can't come inside your house for long because then
Mm.
they wake up and won't do well outside. But
Um,
that's still, but if you do have that land where someone could get a living tree, you can bring it inside for Christmas and then plant it back out in your on your land. You would love to see a more full
Yeah.
cycle, so it's not just cutting down a tree and
Yeah.
not being able to have you on. So
Interesting.
yeah, we learned so much over the years, and it is definitely a very um, unique crop with, I'd say, unique challenges also developing as we go. But beautiful. What I love the most about it is just the habitat it creates in the meantime. Because
Yeah.
and as we intentionally leave trees, and so it's never clear cut. There's just so many birds and wildlife that it's a more natural Christmas tree farm is how I
Yeah.
like to describe
Yeah.
ours.
Yeah.
Quite as manicured as some, uh, but we like that style.
hmm Nice. Okay, so if you're thinking about making changes, and I don't know, nothing ever really happens the way you plan, but looking, say, 5 years out, what does Wildland look like, or what are some things that you're looking at maybe happening over the next few years? I know you probably have a lot of options, but
Oh gosh, I know. Well, that's a great question. We really the farm and the food element is a huge goal of ours in the next starting in the next year, but then yeah, growing that in the next 5 years. We'd really love, with the produce we've already started to grow up here, we've made little things like bruschetta to serve with,
Mm,
a charcuterie board or snack. But we really would love to see people be able to come up here for a glass of wine, but or beer, or like a true farm to table sandwich, with ingredients actually grown here. I know farm to table is kind of this, buzzword now, but it's that experience of like, yeah, this all these ingredients were grown right here, and you can actually purchase them right here and recreate what you just the simple dish you just had here, at home. It's not necessarily like a restaurant style, but we're definitely seeing that want that casual, just delicious experience with what it tastes like to eat a tomato or, sweet corn that was grown right here. So the
hmm
food, bringing in that food connection is a huge goal for Wildland. That might start with, just some kind of dinner events in the coming years,
Oh, cool.
definitely, and upping our just what we're growing on the farm here. We go to one farmers market right now. We go to the South Perry Thursday market,
Yeah.
but in the next couple of years, we're hoping to grow that market base and go to a couple others throughout the Spokane area and just, um, yeah, continue selling that wine and beer element, but then really lean into the food part of the experience up here. And yeah,
Isn't
with
it?
that,
Well,
yeah. Oh no, no, that's perfect.
no, it's just funny how we almost do these things to enhance efficiency and create more crops. And now what we want to do is just go back and like grow our own food and taste food that, was grown with care and that wasn't mass produced. And so it's just kind of funny how we started there and then we have all this industrialization and, you know, I don't have the words, but now we're going back because that
Yeah,
fruit
no,
and those vegetables taste so much better. They have more nutrients and they're just different. And you can tell when you bite into something that it's different than what you get at the store. And so that's really cool. I was going to ask about food because I know one day you might have mentioned like bowls, or something like that, but we'd never leave if you had food.
you know. Yeah, and that in our first iteration of, our dreams for Wildland, food was always first. It is a tricky back to some of that permitting and whatnot
Mm,
of Green Bluff and stuff. There's these tricky little facets that we're navigating, but there's definitely so many ways to do it that without those limitations. But yeah, it really is. I think we've just realized how important that is, you know, as a culture that like what we eat is probably one of the most important, well, is the most important thing to our health.
Hmm.
And it can also be such a positive experience and, have flavors unlike we've ever had from, what we're commonly eating at the store. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that piece of food and then with that education, so we'd really like to start kind of expanding the area that customers are able to be on Wildland. We kind of have our main gathering space and then the
Right.
Christmas tree zone that people come to enter. But with our farm plan for next year, we're really trying to open that up more to the public as we expand our farm because we're trying a lot of, once again, more work practices, but I think the right way of just regenerative farming and following
Hmm.
organic practices and really want it to be, have that educational experience and learning experience for customers to come see how it's grown. And so, yeah, that's even in the next couple of years, that will be, I think, a big focus of Wildland and expanding that the farm and food side of the experience. But also, we are getting a larger brew system online, so our brewing
Sweet.
experience will be expanding as well. So, because yeah, you got to have good food and good drink and then yeah, the with the local art and market, I'm hoping to just keep expanding that list of amazing makers we have in there already. But yeah, lean into some of those more creative ways that all the facets of Wildland can come together, like with, creative recipe cards or things
Mm.
like and events. So I don't know. My creative wheels are spinning on kind of ways that all those dots can be connected again of
Yeah.
bringing together the food and the art and the just yeah gathering around for a good meal because that's huge.
You just pick everything that everyone likes and just throw it into a big building, and I think you're gonna do all
I
right.
know,
Um, so I
right?
was thinking
It's
about this
everything to
earlier.
survive.
Yeah, yeah. So earlier you mentioned like the winter. I don't know. Are you guys in any like grocery stores or anything with your beers and your wines? Are you doing wholesale or what does that look like?
Yeah, right now, we're doing some very small scale local distribution right now,
Hmm.
just to a couple local restaurants, or not restaurants, but the Grain Shed Tap Room has our wines as well as some of the Indaba locations. But
Nice.
yeah, very small scale because wholesale and getting into that with our history with the winery,
Yeah.
I think we will, no matter what, always be staying with very local self distribution as we kind of grow into wholesale. But yeah, we do have plans to hopefully up that a bit. With our beer right now, it's only on tap here, but with a larger system, we hope to do some canning and get
Yeah.
that into just that Spokane regional shops and other local businesses, and same with the wines. But definitely we'll be keeping that at, or hope to keep that on a more local scale and something we
Yeah.
can kind of manage ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, we
Mhm.
had a business before and going into wholesale, I didn't know what to expect. And it can be a nightmare um, if we didn't have the money to back it and we didn't realize how small the margins were. And so it felt like you were doing all this work and it wasn't really paying off. So that's super interesting. And we get to keep your wine up in our area. So that's good.
Yeah, no, we have learned a lot of the lessons the hard way with working with large distribution. And uh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's, I
I'm
think, a
sure.
lot of the inspiration with our goals for Wildland is just as local as possible. And
Hmm.
yeah, keeping it at that really community supported scale.
Yeah. So up to this point, I know you're still kind of young in the business to some people's standards, but what are you most proud of?
Yeah. Oh gosh. They're all such good questions, Reed. um, but so yeah, I guess it's just I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but seeing those unique moments of gathering where you just kind of look around and see so many different people from so many different walks of life, or you don't know why they're there or what the story is, but just seeing so many people feel safe and laughing and just enjoying, you know, the beautiful views and the surroundings that we have around us, and just having that moment to like um just be where they are. Yeah, there's those moments that I see that and I'm like, wow, this is really cool to have
Hmm.
to have made a space for, even if just briefly, people have been able to feel really good. So that's definitely something I'm proud of. And then just, yeah, every morning I get, yeah, to walk this property and just, yeah, see, pick another bouquet that we grew. I did that every Thursday morning before going to the farmer's market. And I would just think it's one of those things you do so often that then you're like, when you stop in your tracks, you're like, oh, this is so cool. Like that's just, I helped to grow this beautiful thing and get to spend my morning harvesting it to then share with, yeah, with the community later in the day is uh, definitely a moment I'm like, wow, I'm really, yeah, proud we were able to create the space for that. Even though there is it is a crazy amount of work and we took on a crazy amount of things. There definitely are those moments that, yeah, I've just felt really proud. So thanks for asking that question to
Yeah.
reflect on.
Yeah, no, it's cool, and it's obvious that you guys have already had, the business experience, and it's just kind of obvious that you guys have a clear goal and a mission, and it just seems like you're doing a lot of different things, but it's all going in the same direction. And I think people, right when they walk in, they understand that and they get that, and it's something that people want to be a part of. So I think what you've built is pretty cool.
Thank you so much. No, and it's, yeah, support from people like you and your family really from day one. I remember when you guys first visited and yeah, we're just like, oh, this is something different. And I was like, oh, you get it. Like, yeah, and it's been so amazing connecting with people like, yeah, you and your family and our community. It's been
Yeah.
awesome.
That's what it's all about. Okay, I got a couple more, and then I'll let you go. So
No,
wh we live in Spokane. It's a great area. I love it. What's one of your favorite things to do here in Spokane? That's not walking around clipping flowers and all that cool stuff.
yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, well, I'd still say probably getting out in the natural areas. I think that's one of the things I've just loved about here is that you can, it- it's maybe 20 minutes either direction and you can be in such an incredible place, whether it's like top of Mount Spokane or down, in Riverside State Park.
Yep.
I really love, yeah, just exploring our natural areas and like all the different vast trail systems of our area. And then, yeah, I think our downtown area too. Yeah, Spokane has just had such an amazing sense of energy in the years since we moved back here, and it really feels like you're just, at here at a time where it's really you're contributing to it growing, and I feel that energy with a lot of the different, yeah, businesses and areas and projects that are popping up all around the city.
It's really cool to watch. I love all the new stuff popping up, so I'm
Yeah.
I'm with you. All right, I have another question that's kind of interesting, but I love this question. So, who is someone in our area that you think more people should know?
Oh gosh, who is someone? Oh, well, goodness, it's someone local
Yeah, yeah, and yeah,
in our
I think
area.
someone local. Yeah.
Well, okay, the first people that, yeah, popped in my mind. Well, Mark and Kara Odegaard, they work for a company called Measurement and are just wonderful people. Measurement works with, they help advise businesses on B Corp certification, which is
Mm,
something we went through with the winery, hope to do with Wildland. Um, but it essentially kind of helps making sure that businesses are aligned with both um, environmental practices that are good for the people and the planet and just are giving back in positive ways. But they're also just incredible community members. Yeah, Kara worked for the city for the long time on our sustainability action plan.
nice.
So they're just wonderful people. And then, yeah, the other that would pop in my head too on that cooperative side of things, Joel Williamson, is a great friend of ours. He helped start the grain shed
Okay.
and is, whether he wants to be or not, he's like kind of become the cooperative guru. So, but, and it's just a wonderful person.
Nice. That's cool. I always like learning about, new people in the community, and it's cool to kind of shout them out because maybe they don't get recognized. They probably don't want to be, but it's still nice. Um, all right, so where can people find you on social media? How can they, come in, buy your beer, wine, all that good stuff? Where can they find you?
Okay. Yes, and I know we're in the holiday season right now, so we are a seasonal business. So we are open up on Green Bluff. Our market and tap house at Wildland is open Friday to Sunday, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. until
Hmm.
December 17th. Then close down for a little bit of a winter hibernation, and then we'll be reopening in April 2024.
Nice.
So that's where to physically find us. And
Hmm.
then online, we're at wildland.coop. And on Instagram, we are also at Wildland Co-op. So those
Hmm.
are all great places to follow us. We've got, yeah, our UK Christmas tree season coming up and some wreath workshops and things like that before the end of the season.
Nice.
And yeah, then just stay tuned for more things as we resurface come springtime,
Yeah.
as we have a lot more planned in 24. Yeah.
Cool. I'm so excited for what you guys are doing. I love that we live close and we can, come enjoy what you guys are doing. And your hard work is it's not overlooked. We as the community really appreciate what you're doing. So thank you for being here and sharing some more about Wildland.
Thank you so much, Reed. That really, yeah, those words are very appreciated. And yeah, yeah, remembering why we're doing this because it's, yeah, these connections are what it's all about. So thank you so much for your support.